Thank you for choosing our Patio Heat channel. I'm Steve. We provide tips and information to extend the enjoyment of your patio project. Our videos give you a knowledgeable overview prior to investing in your outdoor heating equipment. Whether you are a professional or owner-builder, we provide specific details for optimum heat coverage for your application. Post a comment or question, or for developed visual designs, send your request into designs@patioheat.com. We're here to work with you. For over 30 years, patio heating is the bedrock of our business, expressing what works best. Now let's get heating. All right, so we had a viewer ask a question in reference to flush mounting a unit over here and what the outcome would be for, I think, basically the sitting position right here. There is a vinyl windows on the outer edge of this structural patio, and also screened sections as well. I didn't put all of that detail in. In fact, I'm going to take out the this is the vinyl siding here. I'm just going to remove that so we can maneuver through the patio here a little bit easier. First of all, let's go into the dimensions that I have. So dimensions are not 100% accurate here, but they're very close. I would say 19 foot 1.75 inch that I have there, and then from the wall over here to the outer edge here, I have that at 12 foot 1 3/4. I have a ceiling height of roughly about 9 feet off the finished floor. There are 2 fans, and I've located those fans based on the ceiling drawing that I received, just so you can see that. I placed the light structures here as well as where they're asking about the flush mounted unit as well. And there's a different question too in reference to wall mounted unit here and how that would affect the seating position over here. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, the fan dimensions I have is 33 feet 6 inches or 42 inches. Let's go ahead and shut that off and look at the first of all the flush mount unit. So I'm going to put that on. So this is a 6,000 watt flush mounted unit, and we want to make sure that we are meeting the clearances to anything below the heater itself. So here's the clearance, 18 inches from the edge of the heater. So this is the heater itself right here. This is the flush mount kit. The edge of the heater, 18 inches to the edge. Now I put this as a stucco wall. I'm not 100% certain, but just in case you're thinking, well, stucco isn't combustible. Well, the structural part of the wall behind the stucco is still considered combustible if it's a wooden structure. So even though some people think that stucco is not combustible, it is in fact combustible. So you need to make sure that you are meeting those clearances. I put that off here. Let's see. There we go. So anyways, this is a 6,000 watt unit, and the intensity for this position here is very good at 9 feet off the finished floor. And I would definitely want to have a control system for something like this, because there's 3 ways that you can turn this heater on and off. Number 1 would be a simple switch to turn it on and off. The second one would be what they call a duplex switch, which would allow you to turn one element on, one element off. And then the third would be to use a control panel, and that would allow for dimming the system so that you could actually turn it from 10% on all the way to 100% on, depending on how you want that heat at that particular moment. The other thing I was going to mention is you can see how the ray here is, penetrating the wall fairly abrupt, and a lot of, ray is being penetrated in here. It would be a little bit nicer to be able to move the heater over to the outer edge of the patio. So if we were to move it, let's say, maybe 24 inches out, obviously we have an issue now with the fan dimensions here, but could we move those fans to eliminate some of that issue? what I have here is, I believe, and I'm not sure 100%, of the drawing. I'm going to put on some of the elevations that I received here so you can see. I've matched this up fairly decently. And so I think that the fans could be pressed out and the lights could be pushed out to the left a little bit in order to achieve some of that. So let's go ahead and just move the fans here. I'm going to move them roughly 12 inches out and see what happens here. So that's 12 inches out, and visually it still looks like it's partially centered within that span. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the elevations here that I received so we can maneuver things a little bit easier. So that's 12 inches out. And then if I was to move each fan over to the left and right, how far could I actually achieve that? So that is 1 foot 4 inches. So we'll go 16 inches over here, and let's see if we're even outside of that. Yeah, that clearance area is good now, and so we'll move this one over here at that same distance, 16 inches to the right. And there is another thing that we need to kind of be concerned about, and that is the doorways here. Is that going to affect hitting the fan, or is that going to affect hitting the clearance area? But as you can see here, we're fine with that. That would be something I would consider, and obviously we'd want to move the light fixtures as well out to the left. But that, in my opinion, would be fairly decent if that could be done. Another thing I should mention too is the fact that with the vinyl siding and the screened in sections that I don't have on here, the air movement is really reduced with those elements. So the fact that cold air blowing through a patio structure isn't going to be that effective with a protected patio like this. So the intensity doesn't need to be as high because it's kind of like more of a enclosed space, and with enclosed spaces what happens is the heat ray itself, this is infrared light waves, and with the heat wave itself it penetrates all mass and the floor, tables, chairs, your human body, and those masses will then produce a convection type of heat into the area, and that convection heat, meaning that you're heating the air eventually, will stay into a protected area. So the intensity isn't as dramatic or highly required for an enclosed space. Although, outdoors here, it is obviously going to be just as cold as the air outside until you put the heater on and 15, 20 minutes, an hour goes by. That intensity or air temperature inside of an enclosed space will build up. So just to note that the intensity isn't as critical if it was a open space like this where the air movement is constantly going through. Another thing too, just to note, as I mentioned, this is light waves, and I'm going to turn off the clearance below for a second here. But if we were to take a look at what the sun does for us, if we were standing out here, let's say in the sunlight, we feel the warmer sun intensity infrared light wave. If we were standing over here, we would not feel it, so we would just feel the normal temperature of the air, and so that is how the light wave itself, infrared light wave heater, actually produces warmth. Is if you're in that light wave itself, then you will feel the warmth of the heater and feel warmer than you do without that heater on, just like without being in the sunlight. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to bring up. Let's go ahead and turn that off and then look at the other question that they had, which was a wall mounted unit on the wall back here. So this is a CD 6024 and 6000 watt 240 volt. Now you might notice that I've attached this to the ceiling, not to the wall. And I'm going to actually just bring this back so we don't actually see this at this moment. But I made sure that we are 6 inches away from the edge of the wall here, and that we are only at a 30-degree tilt, so straight down 30 degrees out. The reason why is because if you put it on a vertical surface or wall, something of that nature, and you have it at 30 degrees, you must lower the unit an additional 6 inches. But with a ceiling wall mounted unit, you're allowed to place it at 30 degrees, mounted on the ceiling. You know, it's going to be essentially in the same, area, or visually looking like it's in the same area, but obviously if you mount it on the wall, that's going to be an additional 6 inches down. So this is kind of what I would prefer if you're going to do something like this, is to place it on the ceiling 30 degrees out. And yeah, I think this would be much nicer. Now let's see if I can go back here real quick. I'm going to do a lot of reverse stuff here so that we can get these fans back into the location. I'm going to turn this one off here so we don't look at all that flashing. But let's see if we have that back right. Yeah, I think we do. And let me go ahead and turn that one back on now so we can get a better idea of, the clearances here, which are fine with that ceiling mount like this. And yeah, I think this would be decent as well. It would definitely heat up this space right here, give you a little bit more areas of coverage on the left and right. It would not reach out here or out here. So what would I do, in order to make that a little bit more coverage, is I'd place maybe a couple other units over here. This is a 5200 watt unit here. It's only 48 inches long, the heater itself. Now I didn't, do the recessing of the heater, or ceiling I should say. And let's turn off that clearance below here. But you can see now that we are heating up in the entire space as far as the area that's going to be occupied. So that's just another thought that I wanted to bring up. And then one last thing, I'm going to go through. This is going to be a little bit of extra time here, but putting a recessed heater in here, let's turn this one off and go back to the flush mounted unit, and I'm going to move this back here. I think we had it 24 inches, yeah. And I'm going to actually take off the ceiling for a minute. And sorry for the delay here. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. So generally, when I look at drawings for this top section here, is an area patio structure up above the patio area below, so a balcony deck type of structure. And generally what I see, and I don't know if this is going to be the true case, is something like this, where let's get in here and let's go with whoops. You'll generally have some joists that come across, and they generally come, in a dimensions similar to this here. And I'm not a structural engineer, but generally what I see is that you know, this is how this is, whoops, sorry about that. This is how this is, let me do one more thing here. How this is arranged generally, and usually about 16 inches in distance apart from each other. And let's just go with a few of these, and you know, you can see that I don't have them in the right elevation as far as what it would really be. But obviously now we have this issue with that structural part of the patio itself. I have this at 10 inches tall right now, might be 12 inches tall, and if I was to actually put these all in the same elevation, and let's see if I can take that one off. I grabbed this by accident. Let's take these off here, and we're going to go ahead and move these down to the same elevation as there we go, as the flush mount itself. So obviously you would have to adjust this somehow structurally, because you would have to make, you know, an opening here for these particular units here. Let me just go ahead and show kind of what I'm talking about, and let's see if we can. So what I'm going to do here is make this so that we open this all up. And I'm going to go ahead now and turn this off. And sorry for the delay again. This is just going to take a little bit of extra time here to go through this portion of it. But in any case, again, I am not a designer or structural engineer, but all of these now cross members or beams up here are going to be an issue with regards to the structural portion of it. So let's see here, and yeah, there's no structural integrity that I see, and I'm not, again, not 100% structurally engineered, but you would have to do something like this, and this is all going to be just very quickly. We'll go across. So this would have to be a cross member here, and it would have to look something like this here. And that would have to be on both sides, and that integrity or structural integrity would have to be designed so that it can handle the weight of the upper deck patio area. So that is one consideration that I would take into mind before you make this ultimate decision of putting a flush mount unit in here. So let's go ahead and turn that back on, and obviously you'd have to put another beam across here, or it would have to be a structural design. Like I said, this is not a structural design that I'm showing. This is just something that I've seen for some patio structures. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a deck patio structure, but it's just things that I have seen in the past. So that's one thing that you might want to consider. And I'm going to go ahead and just take that all off there and go back to the original, which was to just have the same patio structure that I had before. And let's put that top back on, and that's what it would look like going that 18 inches originally. And I moved all these back. So the other thing I should say is placing the other units here, moving the heaters or the fans back. There's still those clearance issues that we're looking at, and those clearance issues below, first of all, it's 18 inches out here and then 18 inches here. So that's something that also needs to be considered if you were going to add an additional units. Now, what about the heat ray penetrating the vinyl siding here? Obviously that vinyl siding now is being penetrated by heat ray roughly about, let's see if I can get in here closer, and I'm going to try this. Let's see if this works, and it doesn't. Let's see, one more thing, try it again. So this is some of the geometry of the flush mount itself and the ray itself, and let's see how that penetration looks with regards to where it's actually hitting. I can see a small line here, it's hard to see, but in any case that would be something that would also have to be concerned. I'm not sure of what that vinyl siding could actually handle. We are meeting the clearances to combustibles, but that vinyl siding might have an issue where it starts to warp and not function very long. So that's just something else that you should consider if you were going to do something like this itself. So moving the fans in again would be something that I would consider, so that you can actually move the heater itself in. Let me take this vinyl siding off and move this, probably, that's looking more efficient as far as the intensity hitting the vinyl. So that's about 10 inches in. So that would be that you'd have to move these fans 10 inches in as well for something like this, that is. And that would probably be kind of close for those fans, but something to consider if you were going to think about doing something like this as well. So let me take that off there and go back to what we had before, and we'll remove this. And so yeah, this would probably be my preferred if this is the only seating position that you really wanted to heat. And then the second one would actually be the ceiling mount like I showed before, having it mounted over here, something like this. Yeah, that's about it. All right, well, I hope this has helped. If you're looking for some assistance with your outdoor heating application and you would like us to review your plans, send your information into designs@patioheat.com. I'm Steve, and please tap that like button, make a comment, ask a question, and join our YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. Even if you were just to participate in that a little bit, it really helps our channel out, and helps others find our channel. So I really appreciate that as well. Thank you very much. Have an excellent day.